Hey y'all, Zach McDonald, your real estate agent with Real Property Associates. And in today's video, we're gonna talk about why the Seattle real estate market is declining. It's no secret that the Seattle real estate market has been on the decline since this spring, when prices were at record highs, interest rates were still relatively low, and the competition was fierce. If you look back at market updates that we did earlier in the spring, we were talking about houses selling 20, 25, 30, even more percent above asking price. We were talking about 20, 30 offers on houses. It was pretty ridiculous, to be honest. And if you look back at those updates, you'll get a kind of a feel for that. And if we were to fast forward to now, in last month's update, we were talking about how nobody wants to pay those premiums anymore. And homes have been selling for, granted, more than they were at the same time last year, but considerably less, 10 to 15% lower in many places across King and Snohomish counties, and in certain parts, even more, 25, 30% less than they were earlier in the year with those multiple offers. So essentially all of that steam has been taken out of the market. Let's just say the balloon's been popped and homes are now selling for, I would argue, a lot more reasonable price than they were, but a lot of it's just that competition's missing. So if we're looking at the market, is it that we've had a lot of houses coming on the market, right? A lot of times when we think about the competition piece, which is a big part of pushing the market forward, are there more houses coming on the market than normal? And if we look at the data, the answer is no. We've seen fewer houses actually recently coming on the market, but if we look at the year overall, it's been relatively normal for the amount of houses coming on the market. Earlier in the year, there was a bunch of people that wanted to buy these houses, and as we've seen the year progress, fewer people have wanted to buy a house. So the biggest difference is the amount of participation from buyers. And there have been some articles about this across the country, in just the overall housing market. But in a market like Seattle's, where we were seeing one of the hottest markets in the country, and then some recent reports talking about the Seattle market being one of the quickest to decline now, kind of makes sense though, right? Quickest to rise, quickest to fall, probably going to be one of the quicker ones to pick it back up again. But what's causing it? And if I look at it, the biggest thing that I'm thinking about is just the amount of buyers, the participation. Listings that might have had 20, 30, 40 showings are having like a couple in a weekend. And houses that were selling in 5 to 7 days are taking 2, 3, 4 weeks now. So everything's taking a little bit longer. There's just not as many people that are currently in the market. And if we look at why, I think that's the big question. Why are less people trying to buy a house right now? And the first one's interest rates. Interest rates are more than double what they were. They are what we would consider more historical averages, but considerably higher than recent years. The biggest issue with interest rates increasing is that it puts a big burden on people as far as affordability goes. And I've discussed how the difference in a separate video, the difference on the mortgage payment on a $1 million house, right? So a conforming loan might be somewhere in that $1,500, $1,600 range a month. That's a lot of extra money in a given month for somebody to take on. And as interest rates have ticked up even above that, I think I compared 3.5% to 6.5%, right? So rates have gone up a little bit. Now they're kind of back down to that same range. But that's a lot more money on a monthly basis than people are used to or thought they might have been spending. And so what it does is it causes people to either change what they're looking for, spend more than they were wanting to spend, or pause altogether depending on what their financial situation is. But we've seen a lot of people pausing here as of late. And I think another factor, aside from interest rates being up, right? So affecting the affordability of properties, which is why they've been coming down, is also concerns about the market and inflation. Right? That we could call it fear, but if you do have concerns, let's say it's more expensive, right? And you have concerns about the market, there's kind of two different factors that are working against you. So if we wanted to talk about the benefits of buying right now, it would purely be on price, right? We don't know what's going to happen in the future. We know that in the long run it's going to be good, but in the short term, we don't know. The market might level out. It has here as of recently, the past couple months. It had been declining and has leveled off over the past few months. And you can see the most recent market update, November 2022 update here that I did. And it does show that the market has been leveling off with data. But if we're looking at the future, we don't know what maybe next spring holds, if the market's going to continue to get better, if it's going to get worse. And so I think there's those concerns, right? And until we start to see multiple months in a row of positive inflationary data and we start to see things picking back up, consumer confidence increases, right? So I think right now we have people sitting on the sidelines and we also have those higher rates. And that's also causing people to sit on the sidelines, right? Aside from concerns about the market. Right now we're in the fall, if you're watching this video around when I recorded it, and that means that we're seeing fewer houses coming on the market, which is normal. And the fact that there's less people participating isn't as big of a deal. It's normal for the seasonality of the market, and seeing fewer houses coming on the market, I would expect we'll see even fewer than we normally see. I think it will continue to put put pressure on the supply, and that will help things stay relatively level, let's say that, as we head into the rest of the year. But 2023 is still an unknown for people. But right now, if I was to boil it down, I think the biggest reason prices have been declining, again, interest rates and the concerns about the market and inflation in general, which really has just caused people to sit on the sidelines. Now, I think heading into 2023, the biggest thing is price. So right now, if you can afford the higher interest rates and you are thinking more long-term versus short-term, right? That's where getting in is potentially an opportunity to get a better price on a house. But at the same time, you have to be able to afford those increased payments. And that's a real thing. And you have to be able to stomach the potential of the house going down a little bit more in value before it goes back up. And it could just go up heading into the spring. But I would suspect it may be a little bit bumpy of a spring. But as far as getting that price and interest rate combination, that's available right now as far as getting the better price, but not the interest rate. Ideally, you can get the best combination of mortgage rate and price. Right now, you're getting a better price, but a far inferior interest rate. I think in order to get the best of both worlds, buyers are going to have to get that better price with a higher rate and then refinance into a lower rate here in the future. At least that's the market that we're in right now. Once interest rates come down and start to come down a little bit more significantly, we're going to start to see things pick up. That's what always happens. But at the moment, it's an opportunity where prices are a little bit lower and there's a lot less buyers in the market. So in summary, the Seattle housing market has seen declining prices. That's good for buyers, right? That's the time buyers would want to buy, but not necessarily welcome news for sellers or people that are kind of watching the market, right? It causes some uncertainty. So again, I don't want to speculate on exactly how everything's going to play out in this video. The purpose was just to kind of explain and talk about what's been happening and why we're seeing those price declines and why that now gives an opportunity for buyers to get a better price. I think sellers, it's what it is. The market's still moving, so if you're needing to sell your house, you still can. I think the other reason we're not seeing as many houses come on the market, quite frankly, is because people have really great interest rates and maybe no interest in swapping out for maybe a better home, but a significantly higher payment. Thanks so much for watching this video as we talk about the Seattle housing market and why it's been declining here as of late. If you have questions about the market, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to connect.